Welcome to this early edition of the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi. We're streaming live to millions worldwide on YouTube and simultaneously on Rumble, X, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the places that you need to follow us because big tech censorship is real and you never know when they're going to strike. Speaking of staying connected, download the Next News Network app, get breaking news, alerts, exclusive content. Android users, get it in the Google Play Store. iPhone users, hit up the App Store. Links in the description. Never miss a story that matters. Now, what sets the Raw Feed apart? We don't just talk at you, we interact with you. We're going to be reading your live chat reactions to today's explosive news. So share the stream right now via text message to bypass the algorithm. Confirm you've done so by tapping 1 in the chat room. For our X viewers, repost this to your followers. And if you're on Facebook, go ahead and hit that share and send this out to your friends and family. Let's break through their suppression together. Yes, we're going to be featuring your super chats and Rumble rants on the screen for the world to see throughout the show. Send them in right now, even before we dive into today's bombshells. And if you want to support us privately, hit those donation links in the description and show off your favorite news source with our merch at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Now, on this day in history, September 25th, 1957, President Eisenhower deployed federal troops to Little Rock, Arkansas to enforce school desegregation against Democrat resistance. The 101st Airborne had to escort 9 black students past mobs and the Arkansas National Guard, who Governor Orville Faubus used to block integration. Today, we're witnessing another historic showdown, not over segregation, but over the very survival of American law and order. Just as Democrats then used state power to resist federal authority, today, they're calling for DOJ officials to revolt against lawful indictments. So today's first topic, James Comey facing federal prison while MSNBC literally instructs Justice Department employees to stage an insurrection. The man who weaponized the FBI against a sitting president now stares down 5 years behind bars and $250,000 in fines. But that is just the appetizer. Congressman Greg Steube wants him charged with treason. Stephen Miller says multiple charges are coming. Our next topic is going to expose how Democrat rhetoric has graduated from dangerous to deadly. FBI Director Kash Patel confirms the Dallas ICE shooter was a copycat who obsessively studied the Charlie Kirk assassination video. When you spend years comparing ICE to Nazis, unstable people take it as permission to kill. The blood trail leads straight back to Democrat leadership. And our next revelation will chill you to the bone. The Democratic Socialists of America, they aren't just protesting, they are infiltrating. They're calling it salting. They're getting jobs at Amazon, Starbucks, airlines, and schools specifically to sabotage from within. Carolyn Borisenko went undercover and caught them asking, wait till you hear this, at what point do we arm up? See, they're planning coordinated strikes for May Day 2028. And finally, we're going to examine the No Sharia Act that's dropping in Congress like a tactical nuke. After Rare Foundation exposed Muslim patrols in Texas and Houston imams conducting door-to-door compliance checks, Representative Randy Fine and Keith Self are drawing the line. No foreign legal system will override the U.S. Constitution on their watch. Now, if you want to become a YouTube channel member for exclusive perks and get exclusive tiers that unlock special acknowledgement in the chat, behind-the-scenes content, and our 24/7 Discord, click the join button and become part of the Next News Inner Circle. This is not just another news day, it's a reckoning. The deep state operatives who tried to overthrow our republic are facing justice. The violent rhetoric of the left has produced violent results. Socialist infiltrators have been exposed, and America is finally saying no to parallel legal systems. The revolution may not be televised, but it will be live streamed right here, right now. This is the Raw Feed. Let's welcome you to the show. We got Band User is here. Sure You in the house. We got Butch Duty to Rebel in the house. We got Say Money LG on Facebook. Jack Smith, AJ Cruz, the one and only Ron the Don. Yes, it's early in Utah. We got Touch Encore. We got Sure You, Drone 67, everyone confirming that they have shared this through text. Sopik is here. Lim Pinyang is here. The gang is filing in. And I just got word that Pothead Kenny is actually in Chicago. Tom McCullough, our White House correspondent, went out to go and meet him. You can see the picture they posted on X already. Beautiful moment. I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but I'm glad it happened. Karen Finley here. Miss Lady Bob. I love you, Gary. Good to see you. Ranger Xbox. Amelia is here. Pothead Kenny. What's up, man? There he is. Good to see him. Michael Jones, yeah, early. Patricia Duff, the gang is filing in. So I do have a event that I have to attend this evening, so that's why we are going so early today, and I'm going to attempt to live stream that later tonight, so there will be another opportunity to hang out in the chat room. I think it's probably just going to be on YouTube alone. Makes it much easier, so you can just keep your eye out for that. So, Brian, let's get into our first topic, and let's let her rip. The man who shook President Trump's hand while secretly plotting to frame him for treason is about to learn what justice feels like. James Comey, the disgraced FBI director who turned America's premier law enforcement agency into a political weapon, now faces federal indictment within days. But here is what should terrify the deep state. Lying to Congress might be just the beginning. Some are calling for the T word, treason. The media, already in full panic mode, with MSNBC actually instructing government employees to revolt. The swamp creatures are cornering themselves, and when cornered animals get desperate, they get dangerous. So stay with us. Now, friends, when chaos hits and the deep state crumbles, will your family eat or go hungry? My Patriot Supply has your back with their 3-month emergency food kit. Save $100 right now. We're talking real breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 90 days straight. Over 2,000 calories daily of actual meals, not survival sawdust. America is going to need heroes very soon. Will you be one? The window's closing fast. Get your life-saving food that your family needs before it's too late. These meals last 25 years in sturdy buckets, made in the USA. No MSG or junk. Fast free shipping, 30-day returns, and disaster replacement guarantee. When disaster strikes, your family eats like kings while others scramble. Be the hero. Go to preparewithgary.com. Right now, it is linked down below. Now, remember when Democrats said this?
No one is above the law, no matter how rich, powerful, or politically connected you are.
Our job is to follow the facts and the law without fear or favor.
The fact is, no one is above the law.
No one, not even the president, is above the law.
No one is above the law.
And James Comey. He certainly isn't above the law either. James Comey now facing 5 years in federal prison, upwards of $250,000 in fines for lying to Congress. The Justice Department is going to be indicting him within days. Yes, no one's above the law. That includes James Comey. If this is all they can get him on, fine by me, says Chicago One Ray. Here is Representative Greg Steube, who says, I believe Comey should be charged with treason.
Perpetrated. How much of a concern should this be to average everyday Americans? Yeah, there's shock value in the headlines, but how much of a real concern should this be to everyday Americans in terms of national security and otherwise?
I believe he should be charged with treason. I mean, he was involved in the largest deep state operation to undermine the president of the United States in the history of our country. Bigger than Watergate, bigger than any scandal. They used the intelligence apparatus. They used the FISA court system to spy on an opponent's campaign. Then they created a falsehood that the Trump campaign was colluding and conspiring with Russia. And then the intelligence community perpetrated that falsehood. Mainstream media perpetrated that falsehood. And now we know that all of that was made up. All of that was wrong. And it was all to undermine President Trump, the president of the United States. He should absolutely be held accountable for that. Unfortunately, they're just looking at what he said to Congress and charging him for lying to Congress, which is a crime, but nowhere near the level of crime of what I believe he should be charged with. I'm sure that they're trying to look at what they can get a charge for in a grand jury indictment, and that's fine. But Americans want justice for all of the corruption that has happened at the highest levels of our government all of those years, and he was right in the middle of it.
He was right in the middle of it all. Before we get to the venom they're spewing on MSNBC, let's flash back real quick to July 23rd when Caroline Leavitt detonated that political nuke in the White House press room, exposing Obama, Brennan, Clapper, and Comey for masterminding the Russia hoax to sabotage Trump's presidency, calling it one of the greatest scandals in history.
To engage. On another matter, over the past few days, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has unveiled shocking new evidence that former President Barack Obama and top aides in the Obama administration conspired to subvert President Trump's 2016 election victory and undermine the democratic will of the American people. While publicly pretending to engage in a peaceful transfer of power, in private, former President Obama went to great and nefarious lengths to try to sow discord among the public and sabotage his successor, President Trump. The new evidence released by the Director of National Intelligence, who is here with me today, confirms that the Obama administration manufactured politicized intelligence, which was later used as the justification for baseless smears against President Trump. And
that's exactly what James Comey was fully a part of. And that's why treason charges are being called for.
Effort to try to delegitimize his victory before he even took the oath of office. The truth is that President Trump never had anything to do with Russia, and the Russia collusion hoax was a massive fraud perpetuated on the American people from the very beginning. And the worst part of this is Obama knew that truth, and so did all of the other corrupt officials involved in this scam, including former CIA Director John Brennan, former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, former FBI Director James Comey, former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, and many others. Director of National Intelligence Gabbard's report further confirms what we already knew. There was no collusion, no corruption, except on the part of Barack Obama and the weaponized intelligence agencies at the time. The Russia hoax was a blatant lie, all ginned up by Democrat political operatives that were signed off on by then President Obama and leaked to the news media to launch a years-long witch hunt against President Trump and his first administration. Allies of the president, including his own son, Donald Trump Jr., were disgustingly smeared as Russian assets, and some even had their lives destroyed because of this vicious lie. The president's first 2 years in office had this fake distraction hanging over it, and endless resources, time, and political capital were spent having to debunk these lies from the highest levels of our government. Now, nearly 10 years later, thanks to the declassification of documents by Director Gabbard, the truth has finally come to light. And this truth vindicates President Trump, his family, and his many allies and associates who were smeared with defamatory lies.
James Comey now going to face justice. Here's MSNBC encouraging rank-and-file Department of Justice officials to revolt if Comey is indicted. How can they even say this? How can they even say this on MSNBC?
It stands for.
Joyce, if it is such a dire moment, what is your advice or message right now to those people inside the Justice Department, inside these U.S. attorney offices, the rank and file prosecutors that are doing the work to bring cases like this one? What do you say to them?
So the mission inside of U.S. attorneys' offices across the country is to keep their communities safe. And in difficult times like this, the traditional advice to federal prosecutors is to keep their heads down, do the important cases in front of them. Because
now, who's speaking right now? Joyce Vance, former U.S. attorney.
the cases that we're talking about, Anna, that's maybe 1% of what's going on in the Justice Department. But every day there's violent crime, there's drug crime, there's civil rights violations and white-collar crime that prosecutors and agents across the country are working on. The issue prosecutors are hardwired to understand, and I hope Americans will understand this too, is that when you become an assistant United States attorney or a political appointee in an office, you check your politics at the door. You walk in and you do your job looking at the facts and the law without fear or favor. And that's what I believe Andrews and my former colleagues across the country are trying their hardest to do right now. There may be a moment for difficult choices coming for many prosecutors, and I hope that when those moments come that the American public will stand up and support these people. I think if there is a move to indict Jim Comey, we will likely see resignations out of Alexandria and Richmond. We may see other forms of protest by career prosecutors. It's a unique moment, and I think that these people will rise to it.
Joyce Vance, Andrew Weissman, guys, thank you so much. Ken, great reporting. Thanks.
She says they need to check their politics at the door. That's what we do with the DOJ. Oh, but then if you get a prosecution you don't like that actually follows the letter of the law, oh, just rise up and resist and resign. Really? Yeah, talk about a contradiction there right on MSNBC. But we don't expect anything less from those people at all. Comey leaks. This is from Real America's Voice. Comey leaks come overnight. Will he even be charged now? 3 assistant district attorneys writing a memo saying that there's not evidence, leaking the memo to friendly reporters trying to protect James Comey. See, they're already leaking this to the media to try to see the American people with this lie. Let's listen to Mike Davis.
The grant coming up on the statute of limitations, I think it's September 30th, the statute of limitations for most federal felonies, like perjury, obstruction of Congress, is, or it's actually obstruction of a congressional investigation, but obstruction of Congress for short, is 5 years. And so the grand jury would have to indict Comey by September 30th. And so that's what President Trump's new U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, according to these press reports, is going to do. And remember, with a grand jury indictment, you have to go to a grand jury of your peers. They look at the evidence and they determine whether there's probable cause to move forward with criminal charges. And so that's, according to the news reports, that's what's going to happen. Now you have these apparently 3 assistant U.S. attorneys in the Eastern District of Virginia, or wherever the hell they are, who are writing a memo saying that there's not evidence and that they're, not only is that bad, they're leaking this memo to friendly reporters. And by doing that, they are clearly violating their attorney obligations, their obligations to their client confidentiality, the Department of Justice rules as it applies to attorneys, particularly federal prosecutors. It is highly inappropriate. It's illegal that these prosecutors are leaking this memo to their friends in the liberal media. And
what's funny is that Comey did the very same thing, leaking information to the media. So they're just following the leader, I guess, right?
Have to ask, why are they doing this? They're doing this because they're trying to protect James Comey. They're trying to protect these lawfare Democrats like they've been trying to protect them for the last 8 years. And so that's for the grand jury to decide whether there is evidence that James Comey committed perjury and obstruction of a congressional investigation. I would also say this, that remember, in addition to perjury and an obstruction of a congressional investigation, there's also the charge of conspiracy. And the conspiracy is ongoing. When you cover up a conspiracy, you continue the conspiracy. So in order to stop a conspiracy,
we got to get this one down now, because you're going to get a this is low hanging fruit, and you've got the time's going to run out, right?
Coming up on the statute of limitations.
Yes, it's low-hanging fruit. But like I showed you from the press secretary, that is the big case. That's the conspiracy charge that Comey is still under investigation for. So we'll get an indictment on this one, and then we'll get an indictment on that one. So let's continue. Remember this moment? This is when, it's like Judas. Like, there he is. There he is, goes in, James Comey going in to shake the hand of President Trump. That was right after President Trump had taken the Oval Office in 2016. James Comey, just like Judas, betraying Christ. In that very moment, James Comey knows he is working to undermine the President of the United States. C3 writes, how much of a slithering snake was Comey? As Comey was shaking a duly elected President Trump's hand, he's already running an operation to frame him for treason. Think about that. Seditious conspiracies start with lying under oath, must be justice. Yes, no one is above the law. Remember this? The way Comey not only tried to destroy General Flynn and his family by framing him, but later mockingly bragging about it, remains one of the most disgraceful abuses ever committed by an FBI director. He deserves prison for that alone.
You look at this White House now, and it's hard to imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the sit room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation.
Gotten away with in an organized investigation. Can you believe he said that?
Wouldn't have done or maybe...
He's not going to get away with it now, though.
Gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration, in the George W. Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration. The protocol, 2 men that all of us have perhaps increased appreciation for over the last 2 years. And in both of those administrations, there was process. And so if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over.
You look at this White House now, and it's hard to imagine.
Absolute disgrace. That's James Comey, who is now facing years in prison. The Justice Department is expected to ask a Washington, D.C. jury to also indict James Comey sometime today. This is 60 minutes ago. Legal experts expect a Democrat-controlled panel to refuse to indict the Democrat-aligned suspect. Well, let's just hope that does not happen. Here's more from the Florida Congressman Greg Steube on Fox News talking about treason.
Complete compromise. Well, it's about time. Americans have waited for this for a long time. We saw the Russia collusion hoax, the complete compromise of the deep state. That was all under Comey's leadership. I believe because of all of those things that we now know, they used the intelligence apparatus of our federal government to perpetrate a fraud upon the American people, that the Trump campaign was colluding and conspiring with Russia. In my opinion, he should be charged with treason. But obviously the DOJ doesn't want to go that far. They found something that they can charge him with. He obviously lied to Congress because he knew either he's lying or McCabe is lying. And obviously they have evidence from either communications or something that it's a basis of this grand jury indictment. It is a long time coming where the American people want to see justice of all of the brokenness of our federal government over the last decade.
So what would
Yes, we want to see justice. Stephen Miller also weighing in this just a few hours ago, revealing that there are multiple charges expected against Comey. So if you consider the lying to Congress charge and then the conspiracy charge that we have been waiting for, there could be more. There could be more than just this lying to Congress. So let's hear Stephen Miller.
Is corrupt.
Stephen, I want to move on to this news that the DOJ is considering indicting former FBI Director James Comey for allegedly lying to Congress. Your reaction tonight?
Well, I don't have any news to make on that subject or question, but I'm always happy to talk about disgraced former FBI Director James Comey, who of course is corrupt, who of course has been engaged in vast amounts of illicit and unlawful conduct, who of course was at the center of the Russiagate attack and assault on American democracy. There are so many people, Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Monaco, all across the government under previous administrations who have worked tirelessly to try to dismantle our democracy. And it has to lead somewhere to accountability.
Got to be accountability. And in 27...
As you heard him allude to the other charges on the horizon, just like the press secretary did in the previous clip. Here is AJ, exclusive new details in the impending indictment of deep state operatives revealed.
The new prosecutor. Well, I just talked to very high-level sources inside the White House, and they have confirmed to me that indeed the new prosecutor they've put in Virginia, because the last one was a deep stater, is set to indict Comey, Letitia James, and others. And you can guess who those people are. Now, the indictments you'll see within the next 5 days are Letitia James and the disgraced FBI Director James Comey. But then soon after, they already have the grand juries. They've already come back with the indictments. Brennan, Clapper, and of course, Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton. When this happens, the rats inside the globalist system are going to run from the sinking ship like never before. They thought they're invincible. They thought they're above the law. They thought they just had free reign, and you're about to see they don't. They tried to kill Trump twice. They've had a reign of terror against this country. They killed Charlie Kirk. The gloves are off. And I'm told that Kash Patel is actually great, Bongino's great, and that the issue is Pam Bondi. But if Pam Bondi doesn't do her job, she is goodbye. As I said 4 months ago, she's got 6 months. That was what she was given, because the evidence is just open and shut on all this. The globalists wanted a war, they got one, but now is when they're going to launch false flags. Now is when they're going to pull all sorts of shenanigans because they know the jig's up. And they're not laughing now. God bless President Trump. God bless the United States of America.
God bless you, Alex, for everything that you do. So, we are expecting indictments today, perhaps. We know the statute of limitations runs out on Tuesday, so they have to at least pin Comey with the one charge lying to Congress before Tuesday. And the other conspiracy charges are ongoing. There's really no statute of limitations there because the longer they try to cover it up, it keeps extending the statute of limitations. So as you heard Alex say, you've got Brennan, you've got Clapper, you've got Comey, Letitia James, all of them, the entire cabal about to go down. So make sure you have your popcorn ready for when we go live when that happens. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. Now, this matters because James Comey represents everything wrong with the deep state. He weaponized our justice system against a duly elected president. He destroyed General Flynn's life and laughed about it on stage. He leaked classified information to trigger a special counsel. And for years, he's walked free while his victims suffered. Now the tables are turned. When MSNBC openly calls for government employees to revolt against lawful indictments, you know we have hit a nerve. The swamp is terrified because if Comey falls, the dominoes start toppling. Brennan, Clapper, maybe even Obama himself. So here's my question. Should lying to Congress be the only charge, or does framing a president for treason deserve the ultimate penalty? Drop a yes or no in the comments. Let's have a conversation. And while you're fired up, check out our merch shop, link below. Show the world you stand for truth and justice. All right. No super chats right now. What are you guys saying about all this? What do you guys think? This is wild, right? YouTube resuspended Alex Jones in 1 hour. Is that what they did? No kidding. Wow. Yep, looks like he's not allowed back on that platform. I messaged him yesterday when the news came out, or 2 days ago, when the news came out, to see what they would do, and looks like they tried. We love you, LOL, Karen, wow, Tyson, Mac Young, conspiracy against President Trump, Florida is the venue. All of the above. All right, guys, let's move to our next topic here. We've got news to uncover, new information on the ICE attack that occurred just yesterday morning. Shocking new information. They called ICE agents Nazis. They compared border enforcement to concentration camps. They painted targets on law enforcement backs for years. Now, FBI Director Kash Patel just dropped the smoking gun. The Dallas ICE shooter spent 48 hours studying footage of Charlie Kirk's assassination before launching his attack. This wasn't random violence. It was a copycat killing inspired by leftist rhetoric. When the mainstream media, Democrats, dehumanize federal agents, unstable individuals hear it as a call to arms. The blood trail leads straight back to Capitol Hill, and what you're about to see will prove the deadly consequences of political hate speech. So keep on watching. Now, the Dallas ICE shooter's attack proves that we need to be ready for anything. My Patriot Supply understands that when society breaks down, your family's survival depends on preparation. Their 3-month emergency food kit saves you $100 right now. Real meals providing over 2,000 calories daily for 90 days. We're talking hearty breakfasts, filling lunches, satisfying dinners, plus drinks and snacks. Everything's packed in military-grade buckets that last 25 years. Made in America with zero MSG or artificial junk. When violent radicals target law enforcement and chaos erupts, will you protect your family? Fast, free shipping, 30-day returns, disaster replacement guarantee. Your window to prepare is closing. Be the hero who saw it coming. Go to preparewithgary.com right now before it's too late. Now, just a short while ago, J.D. Vance weighed in on the political violence and the attacks that are happening. We're going to get to the FBI remarks in a second, but I did want to play this from the vice president just a few hours ago.
We do feel pretty confident this was a motivated left-wing political attack, and that, I think, goes to show that we have way too much of this in our country, especially in the last couple of weeks. And I'd encourage everybody to really tone down the rhetoric when it comes particularly to our law enforcement and our ICE agents. These are people who are enforcing the law as it's written by Congress and as instructed by the President of the United States. The fact that they've become such a target of online, social media, and even political harassment, I think, thank God most people don't intend to do them harm, but as we find out today, some people do intend to do them harm, and they'll act on it. So I think we all need to tone down the temperature a little bit. I think in particular, my Democratic colleagues need to ask some very hard questions about why it is that folks from their side of the political aisle seem to be engaged in these politically motivated attacks. And I think it's important for them to look in the mirror and say, wait a minute. Can we look in the mirror? Can we actually take some steps to police some of the violent rhetoric on our own side? Because unless they do, I fear stuff like that, this is going to keep on happening. We do feel
it's going to keep on happening because the left isn't going to stop. We have this FBI releasing new details on the suspected Dallas ICE shooter Joshua Wan. The perp downloaded a document titled Dallas County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, containing a list of DHS facilities. He conducted multiple searches of ballistics and the Charlie Kirk shot video between 9/23 and 9/24. Between 8/19 and 8/24, he searched apps that tracked the presence of ICE agents. On one of the handwritten notes recovered read, "Hopefully this will give ICE agents real terror to think, is there a sniper with AP rounds on that roof?" Further, accumulated evidence to this point indicates a high degree of pre-attack planning. Here is a mugshot of the alleged shooter. And this was actually when he was arrested for dealing drugs, apparently. The FBI director, Kash Patel, revealed that the Dallas ICE suspect is a copycat criminal. As I just stated, he conducted multiple searches of ballistics and the Charlie Kirk shot video. Violence from the left is out of control. Now, here is the post from the FBI director, Kash Patel. FBI Dallas and FBI HQ have been working 24/7 to seize devices, exploit data and process writings obtained on location and in the subject's person, residence, and bedroom. This FBI is committed to providing timely updates as promised. And here is the list of that I just read you. The FBI, he writes, will provide further updates when available. Now, Gunter Eagleman goes on to post here that MSNBC just read out Kash Patel's post about the Dallas ICE suspect. You can watch their souls leave their body as they realize how bad this looks on them. They know accountability is coming for their inciting rhetoric.
The director put out
this morning about that shooting at an ICE field office in Dallas. FBI Director Kash Patel just posted on X that investigators are learning new information about the suspect's internet history and what was downloaded on his devices. Let's get right to MSNBC national correspondent Rosa Flores and MSNBC investigative correspondent Mark Santia. What more are we learning, Mark, from the FBI director?
The director put out a lot. This has been a nonstop investigation. Basically, Kash Patel saying the suspect downloaded a document titled, quote, Dallas County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management that contained a list of DHS facilities. The suspect also conducted multiple searches, according to Patel, of ballistics and, quote, Charlie Kirk shot video between September 23rd, September 24th. Back in August, the suspect searched apps that tracked the presence of ICE agents, and one of the handwritten notes recovered in the investigation said, quote, hopefully this will give ICE agents real terror to think, is there a sniper with AP rounds on that roof? Patel also said they have evidence to this point that indicates a high degree of pre-attack planning. They believe the suspect spent much time trying to figure this out. And they're still, we talked to officials this morning, the investigation on it continues at this point.
And there's no information about the shooting itself, right?
Absolutely. ICE officials said that when the barrage of bullets opened up in that Sally Port, that ICE officials, ICE officers, they were able to grab detainees. There were 8 to 10 inside the van. They were able to pull some to safety. Obviously, 3 people were shot. 1 passed away. But that is some of the new information we're learning today. So, again, this investigation is really evolving today.
And, Rosa, the shooter's brother is speaking out. What's he saying?
You know, he's giving us a...
What's interesting here is that the initial reports that came out, they're like, oh, there was no motive. We can't figure it out. Very much like when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And they're saying he was targeting detainees because he was, anti-immigration, right? No, he was anti-ICE. And what they're about to say is what the brother has spoken, saying that he was a horrible shot. I'm assuming that's what they're going to say. He was a horrible shot, and he was just shooting indiscriminately into the van.
Sense of his brother, how he grew up. He said that they grew up about 30 miles from Dallas in Allen, Texas, that he was a Boy Scout, and he described him as, quote, unique. And he said that he wasn't very interested in politics, either the right side or the left, or in any which way, really, which is interesting considering the details that the FBI has already released regarding this case. They also said, the brother also said that he was not interested in ICE, didn't have strong feelings against ICE. Again, kind of odd, Anna. And he said that even though his brother was not a marksman, that he did know how to use the rifle that their parents had. Unclear if that's the weapon that was used in this case. And he said that the last time that he saw his brother was 2 weeks ago, and that nothing seemed odd. And one other thing to point out is that according to public records, he was a registered independent in Oklahoma, and that he voted in November.
And what do we know now about the victims, the 3 people who were shot?
Well,
we're still pushing for that information, asking for the names, but the names have not been released. The one detail that I was able to gather is from Mexico's foreign ministry, actually. The foreign ministry saying
this morning about that shooting at an ICE field
so
office.
Obviously they glossed over, oh, he wasn't a good marksman. Yeah. Well, here is Tom Homan just a couple hours ago on Fox News talking about the rhetoric.
Seen it this bad. I've seen this movie before. I've been doing this here since 1984. I got over 4 decades doing this job, and I've seen this movie before. I've never seen it this bad, but the rhetoric is what's causing all this hate, and it convinces that small percentage on the left that hate ICE to take action. When they have a congressman or someone that ran for vice president of the United States comparing ICE to Nazis, that gives some of these nuts and emboldens them to take action. And there's been 3 shootings in Texas alone. There was a gunman that showed up at a Border Patrol facility and started shooting at them. He picked the wrong facility. He picked a SWAT facility, and those officers ended up taking his life. Then there's a shooting just south of Dallas where they attacked an ICE facility, and 1 officer was shot in the neck. Then this latest incident. This is based on hate that's being fueled by the media and members of Congress and governors and mayors. You played on your show. We got to stop. ICE agents are enforcing the law Congress enacted. If you don't like what ICE is doing, then go tell Congress, because they wrote the laws that ICE is obligated and took an oath to enforce. They're making this country safe again. Every day they take a public safety threat or a national security threat off the street, it makes that community safer. All these politicians and mayors and governors should be calling President Trump and thanking them for making their community safe again. I've seen this movie before.
The violent rhetoric continuing to amplify. Now, remember when we reported on this initially, there was a strange message that was found on his car. Anti-ICE gunman Joshua John had a bizarre map stuck to outside of his car showing radioactive fallout across the United States. I don't even understand why that would be there. Bizarre map stuck outside showing fallout. Investigators in Dallas have discovered what they believe to be the anti-ICE shooter, his vehicle, which had a map depicting radioactive fallout in the U.S. affixed to the right rear quarter panel of his vehicle. Text above the tattered print-out map stuck to the gunman's blue Toyota Corolla read, radioactive fallout from nuclear detonation have passed over these areas more than twice since 1951. This is the New York Post. Here's a picture of the vehicle, and you can see the bizarre message left on the outside. And continuing here, the image appears to be a map created by researcher Richard Miller, which shows areas of the U.S. over which 2 or more radioactive clouds have crossed, resulting from nuclear testing in Nevada between 1962. He opened fire on a van carrying detainees awaiting processing on Wednesday from the rooftop overlooking the Dallas ICE office, killing at least 2 migrants and wounding another before taking his own life. Bullet casings found near his body were scrawled with the words anti-ICE. 2 people shot dead, at least another injured at an immigration and customs office in Dallas early Wednesday morning. So it's still unclear what that message he was trying to convey actually meant. This is a visual of what that map looked like. And of course, this is... you can see the picture there on the screen. Tim Cass reveals that his security team, this is related to Charlie Kirk. Tim Cass reveals his security team, Charlie Kirk's security team, advised him, Tim Cass reveals that his security team advised him not to go to Charlie Kirk's memorial due to threats on his life, saying the threat level is so great, my team instructed me not to travel.
Has changed. Sinclair, I've never received more death threats. I've also got very serious security where we do our show. The threat level was so great. My team instructed me not to travel. I was unable to go to the memorial for Charlie Kirk. But, Jesse, earlier just now you were mentioning the attacks that we've seen throughout the past weeks and months, but I want to make sure this is clear as it pertains to Jimmy Kimmel. The initial reporting was that advertisers and affiliates were upset. Sinclair said they wanted to bring the temperature down. None of that has changed. Sinclair and Nexstar are still saying they will preempt his show. As far as we know, advertisers are still upset. So what made the difference that brought his show back? Well, this is a little bit of speculation, but there was a terror attack on an ABC affiliate in Sacramento by what is reported to be a Democrat who opened fire on the building. And it's been reported by the New York Post that Sinclair pulled their Charlie Kirk memorial because of terroristic threats against ABC affiliates. So I agree with you. It's open season on people who are standing up, speaking out, or supporting Trump. But the left is also attacking regular people to force their will. And I think it's because they recognized Donald Trump won the popular vote. Normal people have spoken, and they're not tolerating their strange policies that are destroying this country anymore.
Open season on anyone who supports President Trump. Absolute disgrace. Here is Ben Ferguson cooking on CNN, calling out Democrats. The left is shooting people and they're being inspired.
Say that. This is extremely disturbing that there's another one of these types of shootings. I think we've got to deal with this as a country, first of all. But I also, just for starters, I'm curious, how does it help to have the vice president say that?
Because the third one in Texas. I mean, if you know people that work in law enforcement, my family does. I know ICE agents in Texas. This is the third attack we've seen in Texas, in the same district as the man in charge today was saying. Like, this is the second time he's had to have a press conference today.
Who was killed today?
Who was killed today?
So you're saying since it
That's
wasn't...
not what I'm at. No.
So you're saying since it wasn't... It was innocent people that were killed today.
Don't put words in my mouth.
You asked a question. I'm answering your question. You're saying since it wasn't ICE agents that were killed, therefore it's a null and void conversation?
No. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Are you kidding me?
That's gaslighting. I'm asking you a simple question because when J.D. Vance went up there, and when you're coming up here... This is not a good argument from you.
First of all, innocent people got shot today, and you're like, well, it wasn't ICE agents that got shot.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the division that you all are sowing in this country...
I'm not sowing anything. I'm saying protect all law enforcement.
Because of the simple fact, yes, protect
Gavin Newsom went on TV last night. Did you see what he said? He said, ICE agents are authoritarian. You don't think that can inspire someone to do that?
ICE agents should be able to come home every single night. And so don't put words in my mouth. I am acting like it. First. And second, the fact that you and J.D. Vance and every other Republican can go on here and talk about...
We're not shooting people. We're not shooting people. The left is shooting people, and they're being inspired. I'm sorry. I have a friend that got shot and assassinated 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
I'm a little bit hot on this one because you guys have been irresponsible with the rhetoric that is coming out from people on the left. Gavin Newsom went on TV last night. Gavin Newsom went on TV last night and disparaged ICE agents, attacked ICE agents, said they're authoritarian.
But before you even get to the
evidence, the evidence? Watch what he said last night on late night television.
I'm not talking about that, Ben, because you come on here and you gaslight and you.
I'm not gaslighting. I don't want innocent people to die.
Let me finish my sentence, please. You come on here and you gaslight and you put words in my mouth. And that's not what I said.
You interrupted me and said
can you just let him... Ben, in the interest... Hold on, Ben, in the interest of... This is...
You know, it blows my mind that the left can actually defend these positions. It makes no sense. Let's flash back. Hakeem Jeffries claims ICE is going after law-abiding immigrant families and deporting American citizens. Two blatant lies.
We need...
Now, some Democrats, amid the criticisms of ICE right now due to these ICE raids, have started calling for defunding ICE. Do you think that's effective going into the midterms, and do you support those calls?
Well, I definitely think that we need aggressive oversight as it relates to the overly aggressive behavior that we've seen, from ICE, from the Department of Homeland Security. It's not what the American people actually, in my view, voted for. Donald Trump and Republicans promised to go after violent felons, but instead they're going after law-abiding immigrant families, and in fact, in some cases, deporting American citizens and children, some with cancer.
Now, some Democrats amid the
some with cancer. He's referring to when ICE went in and deported two illegal parents, and they had children that were born in the United States, and they were given a choice. They could take the children with them, and that's what they did. Okay? It was the parents' decision. Again, lies after lies after lies, which is leading to moments like we just saw. Gunmen opening fire on ICE agents, assassinating Charlie Kirk. This has got to stop. This has got to end. They have to own this. They have to plead with their base. But I don't think they're going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is why words matter. When Hakeem Jeffries lies about ICE deporting American citizens, when Democrats compare border agents to Nazis, they're not just playing politics, they're painting bullseyes on backs. The Dallas shooter didn't wake up one day and decide to kill. He studied the Charlie Kirk assassination for 2 days straight and then went hunting. Tom Homan nailed it. The rhetoric emboldens these nuts to take action. Even Tim Pool can't attend memorial services because the death threats are too real. So here's my question. Should Democrat leaders be held criminally liable when their speech inspires violence? Drop a yes or no in the comments. This isn't about free speech. It's about incitement to murder. And while you're here, grab some Next News gear from our shop and show where you stand in this fight for truth. All right, what are you guys saying here? Yeppers. Yes, Comey's a dirty cop. That was too perfect. CNN is just a news network that only takes up for the illegals in the Democratic Party. We are nothing to them. Yep, absolutely. I'm getting mad at U.S. We put up with this way too long. Democrats will never take responsibility for their acts causing violence. Oh, boy. Okay, let's move along to our next topic here. This is really interesting, actually. This kind of leans into the rhetoric, the communist movement that's in this country right now. It's called salting. This is something new, so pay very close attention. They're not coming for paychecks. They're coming for control. The Democratic Socialists of America have a secret weapon, and it's already inside your workplace. They're calling it salting. Radical activists taking jobs at Amazon, Starbucks, airlines, and even schools with one mission: organize disruption from within. But here's what should terrify every American. At a recent socialist conference, someone asked the unthinkable question: at what point do we arm up? This isn't labor organizing. This is economic warfare with a timeline that's pointing to May Day 2028. What you're about to hear will change how you look at every new hire, so don't go anywhere. And when socialist infiltrators target your workplace, your family needs protection. My Patriot Supply gets it, and that's why their 3-month emergency food kit is flying off the shelves. Save $100 right now and 90 days of real food security, over 2,000 calories daily with actual meals, hearty breakfast, filling lunches, satisfying dinners, plus snacks and drinks. Packed in durable buckets lasting 25 years, made in the USA with no MSG or garbage. When radicals sabotage supply chains and grocery stores go empty, will you be ready? Your preparation window is shrinking. Free, fast shipping, 30-day return policy, disaster replacement guarantee. Don't wait until socialist strikes cripple disruption. Be the hero who saw the writing on the wall. Go to preparewithgary.com, link below, immediately. So this is a really interesting. I just became aware of Karen Boroshenko, and she's been doing some amazing work. I just messaged her actually on X and let her know that we're going to be running this story. Her X account, make sure you follow it. Karen Boroshenko, anti-communist. I expose and decode the radical revolutionary far left in America. Find my work at Decode the Left. And she's got an amazing body of work here that we're gonna go through some of the investigations that she has uncovered. But this is the one clip I think that is probably most disturbing. She writes that in this exclusive clip from the Revolutionary Socialism Conference, I recorded an obviously trans member of the Seattle Revolutionary Socialists asking the following: at what point do we arm up? This occurred during the discussion portion of an anti-ICE organizing session. And in light of the sniper attack on ICE, the ICE facility, you have to wonder, where was this person, this shooter, getting inspired to go and act with weapons to attack an ICE facility, right? Maybe he was on this call.
So I just kind of want to share how I'm feeling and maybe bounce a question off of folks, some of our speakers. But when it is getting to a place like LA where they're actively under occupation by the military, at what point do these community what is it? Community security groups, at what point do they arm up? To arm themselves and I guess I don't know. That's just kind of what's going through my head. But yeah, I don't know.
That guy fits the description of the Charlie Kirk assassin right there. That guy's probably planning his own right now. And thankfully, Carolyn went ahead and captured that moment. Here is the plan. The Socialists taking jobs at Amazon, Starbucks, groceries, airlines, auto, and education, not for paycheck, but to unionize from within. For 3 weeks, she's been inside DSA salting trainings. They're building towards May Day 2028 in a mass general strike to shut down society. Carolyn says the right's biggest lie is when they tell us the socialists don't work. They do, and they're stacking unions, training friends, and planning years ahead. While conservatives are in their own spiritual psychosis at the moment, the left is planning on accelerating the end of the world. We need to start listening when she says, stop underestimating this. Thank you, Carolyn, for all the work you've been doing. Listen to this.
Socialist friends, job. I'm Carolyn Barasenko. I'm an analyst and independent journalist covering the far left in America, and I'm about to tell you about the most terrifying thing the far left is doing that you don't know about yet. For the last 3 weeks, I've been attending SALT training with the Democratic Socialists of America. The idea of salting is the concept that socialists who want to control the unions will get their members jobs in strategic organizations like Amazon, like Starbucks, like groceries, like airlines, like automotive, like education. They will get their socialist friends jobs in these industries specifically with the purpose of them agitating to form unions and to get more workers into the unions within those organizations. And what attending these trainings has taught me is that the Democratic Socialists of America, through their labor caucus right here, they have a massive network of jobs all over the country where socialists are sitting in jobs in these organizations, and they hire their socialist friends, and then they put them through training, they put them through mentorship. They're not there to do a job. They don't really care about the job. They are there to organize, to form unions. So why is this important? There is a strategy on the left called May Day 2028. This is led primarily by the UAW, the United Auto Workers. But what this is the idea of a mass general strike. Essentially, the far left is trying to organize across all the labor unions, but with a really strategic focus on specific types of unions, because they want all the workers across all the unions to strike at the same time, May Day 2028, May 1st, 2028, in order to completely cripple society. What unions are they targeting? Well, this is from the form that the DSA had people fill out tonight. They're targeting education. They're targeting logistics, Amazon, UPS. They're targeting service industries like Starbucks and groceries. That was the most terrifying one, if I'm honest about it. The grocery industry, the food supply, oh, great. They're targeting auto manufacturing. They're targeting airlines. And if you want to try to get a job in another industry, they'll probably help you out there. But those are the ones that they're specifically targeting because those are the ones that they believe are going to do the most damage when everyone goes on strike at exactly the same time 3 years from now. You know, one of the worst lies that the right has ever told people is that socialists don't have jobs, socialists are lazy, they just want everything handed to them for free, yada, yada, yada. Not only do socialists and communists have jobs, but they control the labor unions, and they're building a massive job network to form new unions, all leading up to their little revolutionary event where they are literally going to try to cripple all of society just to demonstrate that they can. I beg people, please stop underestimating your enemy, because they are literally planning out years in advance, building a massive organizational structure where they're getting socialist jobs in these strategic industries all over the country, and no one's talking about it because no one really knows about it. There are so many people who are not prepared at all for what the left is trying to do to our society. But people who follow my content and support my work, you're at the tip of the spear. You know this stuff before anyone else does. You can find my work over at decodetheleft.com. You can also find me on Substack, Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. And if you want to talk to me about what the far left is up to, get in touch with me through this website. If you're a politician, if you're maybe someone in the government that, I don't know, maybe wants to do something about this, you let me know. Listen, man, I think think one of the strongest things that we can do right now is for the government to hold congressional hearings into the political organizing activities of the unions. I am sick of anti-Semitism hearings. No more anti-Semitism hearings. I want congressional hearings into the political organizing activities of the unions, because the unions are what is going to mess up our entire world, and it's where they're going to organize their little revolutionary event that is going to lead to a revolutionary crisis in this country.
All right, folks, you have been warned, but we're not done yet. Check this out. Stu Smith posting, if you follow me, here's your homework. Learn the term salting. You're going to hear a lot about it from me this week. Salting is when people take jobs specifically to organize the workplace. You go in to do that. This is how the DSA is infiltrating and taking over workplaces across the country. Here is a post that he made in July. It's kind of like an organizer's wet dream. Paula X. Rojas on strategic activism salting. At Socialism 2025, community organizer and licensed midwife Paula X. Rojas laid out a strategy for turning everyday jobs into political beachheads through a method known in labor activism as salting. But she doesn't just mean union drive, she means ideological infiltration across every profession. Salting is people who get a job somewhere purposely to help build, to do labor organizing. You go in to do that. She calls for a new era of hybrid salting. Let's listen.
Sector, kind of like the salting thing. You all know what salting is? Yeah? I don't have to, no? So people who get a job somewhere purposely to help build, to do labor organizing, to build a union or something like that, right? You go in to do that. So what I think it means is we need that, but in every sector. So we need hybrid salting, midwife organizers, librarian organizers, teacher organizers, nurse organizers, electrician organizers. We need less formal organizers where that's your job, where you get paid. My dad, when I was one, he was like, who is paying you to do this? This makes absolutely no sense, so that's where my critique of the nonprofit came from. He was like, nah, this does not add up, So we need that to be thinking like we're salting for those places it's kind of like an organizer's wet dream sometimes. It's part of your job, and you get to do this with people all day as you are the librarian or the teacher or the nurse, right? Wow. So I think that's one piece, and David, your example was beautiful in that those are waves, right? When waves come of mass uprisings, and we don't know when they're going to come, right? And they come and they go. We need to be doing this to be ready for those moments, because that's when we catch those waves that things can go bigger, right? And we can take it to another scale. And so I think that's what we all need to be doing today, tomorrow, all the time. In our own place, in our own way, some within the state, some against the state, and some beyond the state. We all need to be doing it, and I love the dance thing. It isn't about it's an organic process, kind of like
what you're hearing is they're actually this is the communist infiltration of our nation happening right now. Here it is. This is a post from the Democrat Socialist, September 1st. Happy Labor Day. We want to build power with your coworkers. Salting or getting a non-union job and organizing your workplace is a vital tactic to build the labor movement. Hear about organizing basics, priority industries, and getting a job you can organize. Yeah, this is their little picture they posted. SALT training, Mondays, 9/8, 9/15, 9/22. RSVP. They're not even hiding it. So, Lisa Logan posting this in 2024. Let's talk about how these protesters got so radicalized in the first place.
Syringe. We're looking at not just Marxism, but Maoism. Mao Zedong is the model, and it worked in China. And here's how it works. You have a syringe, there are two poisons in that syringe. They are critical race theory and queer theory, and they work in tandem. The name of the syringe in your school is social emotional learning. The way you indoctrinate somebody into a cult is you induce or inflame a sense of fear or vulnerability, emotional vulnerability, and then you give them a pathway out of that fear or vulnerability through the accepted doctrine of the cult, telling them the right answers to how they're supposed to feel about things, how they're supposed to interact with one another. There's your social learning, which has another name, which is socialization. And socialization is the project that Marx said makes man turn to social man, which is short for socialist man, who is a man who cannot live outside of a socialist system. Social emotional learning works like this. We're going to pretend that school teachers are psychologists. We're now going to let them practice unlicensed psychiatry in classrooms, which are unregulated settings, on children in a group that works out to doing an awful lot of shaming. You get people to talk about their bodies and what they're uncomfortable with. This is where the queer theory. You start telling them about, maybe you're not sure about if you're a boy or a girl. Here's the queer theory again. You get them uncomfortable. This is blatant cult indoctrination 101. Now imagine you take something like critical race theory. You've got the syringe of social emotional learning. So you break kids down, cult indoctrination style, psychologically open them up, vulnerability, and then you tell them the reason that the way that you actually make them vulnerable is you start talking about their most personal stuff, their identity. And you tell them, maybe you don't feel like wearing a suit and jacket. Maybe you want to wear a dress. Are you a boy or a girl? That's the queer theory side. Or you tell them, this country was founded on white racism, and it's never really gone away. You create a black identity in Maoist terms, white, straight, male. And then you say, well, you know what? You can become an ally. You could do the work, become a revolutionary, red identity. We're looking at...
And then they grow up indoctrinated, confused, and they feel they need to take out people. Oh my goodness. This is crazy. But it's happening right now. We're uncovering it. Here, Carlin writes, when I was undercover with the far left over the weekend, I went to a workshop with Antifa in the park where they taught us how to do this. The woman with the purple hair who led it is a teacher. She says, I don't know her name, but she mentioned being a teacher. So, I mean, this woman is going into these organizing sessions and documenting exactly what's happening inside of ICE, or inside of Antifa. She was quote tweeting Ford Fisher, the video of ICE and other federal agents firing tear gas and sting balls against protesters attempting to blockade gate outside Broadview, Illinois ICE facility. So what she's saying here is she was learning how they are going to go and protest and block these ICE facilities. Now here's a longer post that she made, a follow-up to that 4-minute video we watched. This was 24 hours ago. She posted, last night I told you the Democrat Socialists of America are assaulting workplaces by getting their members jobs so they can agitate to form unions. They're targeting Amazon, education, grocery, airlines, auto workers, and more. Hear them say it in this exclusive clip.
Want to do in 2028. And so the more people that they have in unions now, the better it's going to be for their mass general strike in 2028. So this is part 3 of the training where they're going to be talking specifically about how to get people jobs.
My name's Ira. I live in New York City. I'm an Amazon worker and a Teamster staff organizer. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about this idea of strategic campaigns and strategic industries. So unions are a big part of what working class power means. Without rebuilding our unions, we're not going to rebuild working class power, and we're not going to be able to tackle any of these enormous problems facing us. So our task as socialists is nothing short of rebuilding the labor movement. And that doesn't just mean rebuilding unions, but rebuilding unions is a necessary part of it. If we do not rebuild our unions, we will not be able to tackle any of the major existential problems facing society. So We discussed in the first session how in the past, salting socialists who go get jobs to build unions or bring their politics into work to rebuild working class politics from the ground up. That is historically how the labor movement has been built. And that's what we have to do as DSA, as socialists now, is we have to get back into the workplace and start organizing unions. If unions continue to shrink, it doesn't just affect the workers in existing unions, it affects all workers. Union density, union militancy, all of that is related to workers being in unions and participating in those unions. So as socialists, it's up to us to accept responsibility to what socialists have done in the past to deal with this existential problem of a weak working class. So how do we do it? It's not, and it never has been, just about workers building power where they're at. That's part of it, and it can be part of it. But it requires a bigger picture analysis of looking at which workers hold the most economic and political power, which sectors in the economy, which industries, which types of workplaces are most crucial to the functioning of the economy, and which companies are shaping the future of society. Those are where we can build strongholds of worker power. Those are where we can start. It can kind of be that Archimedean point, right? Because if we're just organizing anywhere, but we're not concentrating on where we can hit the capitalists the hardest, then it's going to be a lot harder for us to win. So I like to think of it as a number of questions. Number one, how can we bring the most workers into the fight? But then how can we also hit capitalism where it's the weakest and where we can do the most damage? And that's where the question of strategic focus comes from. Wow. Some workplaces in this respect are more strategic than others.
So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to repost this. It's about 14 minutes long. So you need to see the full video. It'll be at the top of my X feed. And this is just wild, man. They are transmitting it. They're telegraphing it right now about their plans to disrupt everything. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is a fifth column operation, plain and simple. When DSA members openly discuss arming themselves while infiltrating critical infrastructure, we've crossed from activism to insurrection. They're not seeking better wages. They're positioning for economic sabotage timed to political events. Karlin Poroshenko risked her safety going undercover to expose this. The evidence is undeniable. Organized cells taking jobs specifically to cripple America from within. May Day 2028 isn't just a date, it's a deadline for chaos. Every hiring manager needs to understand exactly what's happening. Every American worker deserves to know if their new coworker is there to help or to sabotage. So here's my question. Should employers be allowed to screen for DSA membership when hiring? Drop a yes or no. Let's have a conversation in the comments. And while you're here, support real journalism. Check out our merch shop. It's linked in the description. The world is talking about peace in Israel in the middle of the war, and they will get some peace and safety. I felt we were heading into the end times when I heard Bush Jr. say we need to be part of the New World Order, and New World Order is the Holy Bible called One World Order. Not quite on topic, but perhaps you guys will weigh in. But we have to talk about something now that is happening. This is wild. It's happening right now. They're patrolling American streets, going door to door, demanding compliance with foreign religious law. This is not Paris, London. It's actually Houston, Texas. When the Rare Foundation exposed Muslim patrols operating on U.S. soil, most Americans couldn't believe it. But the evidence is undeniable. Imam F. Qasim Ibn al-Khan caught on camera conducting Sharia compliance checks at local businesses. Well, now Congress is fighting back. There's a new law that they are trying to pass. It's called the No Sharia Act, and it's sending shockwaves through every community trying to impose parallel legal systems. President Trump even warning at the United Nations that he watched London fall. Will America be next? What you're about to see will determine our nation's future, so stay tuned. Now, foreign laws have no place in America, and neither does being unprepared. My Patriot Supply knows when parallel legal systems threaten our sovereignty, chaos follows. Their 3-month emergency food kit is your insurance policy. Save $100 today while taking 90 days of real American meals, providing over 2,000 calories daily, hearty breakfast, satisfying lunches, filling dinners, plus drinks and snacks. Everything sealed in military-grade buckets lasting 25 years, proudly made in the USA with zero MSG or junk ingredients. When foreign ideologies clash with American law and civil unrest erupts, will your family eat? Fast, free shipping, 30-day returns, disaster replacement guarantee. The Constitution protects your rights. Protect your family's survival. Go to preparewithgary.com right now before it is too late. Now, President Trump was at the United Nations this week, and he says this about London.
Europe in 2020. And I have to say, I look at London where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor, and it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law, but you're in a different country. You can't do that. Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained. What makes the world so beautiful is that each country is unique. But to stay this way, every sovereign nation must have the right to control their own borders. You have the right to control your borders, as we do now, and to limit the sheer numbers of migrants entering their countries and paid for by the people of that nation that were there and that built that particular nation at the time. They put their blood, sweat, tears, money into that country, and now they're being ruined. Proud nations must be allowed to protect their communities and prevent their societies from being overwhelmed by people they have never seen before, with different customs, religions, with different everything. Where migrants have violated laws, lodged false asylum claims, or claimed refugee status for illegitimate reasons, they should, in many cases, be immediately sent home. And while we will always have a big heart for places and people that are struggling and truly compassionate, answers will be given. We have to solve the problem, and we have to solve it in their countries, not create new problems in our countries. And we are very helpful to a lot of countries that are just not able to send their people anymore. This will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained. What makes the world so beautiful is that each country, and I have to say, I look at
President Trump warning about Sharia law in London. Well, now Congressman Randy Fine and Representative Keith Self are introducing the No Sharia Act, which would ensure that no U.S. court, public agency, or legal institution can ever enforce or legitimize Sharia law. This is his official post on X. I just introduced the No Sharia Act, which would ensure no U.S. court, public agency, or legal institution can ever enforce or legitimize Sharia law. You don't get to come to this country and demand that our legal system accommodate your oppressive laws. Proud to work with Representative Keith Self on this important legislation. 3.5 million views this post has already made. And people reacting, but we have more. Amy Melk says, breaking action on Sharia. Finally, after the Rare Foundation exposed Sharia patrols in Texas, some action is being taken. Representative Randy Fine has introduced the No Sharia Act to ensure no U.S. court or public institution can ever legitimize Sharia. The need for this legislation is obvious and urgent. Rare exposed Houston Imam F. Qassam bin Ibn Ali Khan on video going store to store threatening Muslim businesses if they didn't remove pork, alcohol, or gambling because Islam deems them as haram. That's open intimidation and an attempt to enforce Islamic law on American soil. She writes, law enforcement must investigate every individual promoting Sharia law in America. Congress must pass the No Sharia Act to ensure Islamic supremacy ever takes root in our country. For too long, politicians caved to tolerance. They ignored the warnings a decade ago. When Imran Khan testified against anti-Sharia bills, now with Sharia patrols openly on our streets, they can no longer look away. This is a step in the right direction, but only if our leaders finally have the courage to follow through. And they have a full report.
Shooting into marriage, you've seen it. Sharia patrols on Texas streets. Store owners warned. Stop selling alcohol, pork, lottery tickets, or face consequences.
Standing near a store, a community service store that is owned and operated by a Muslim. The Muslim Islamic code is that we avoid the use and the sale and distribution of pork, alcohol, and gambling products. We ask them not to do this.
Well, guess what? The imam behind those patrols, F. Qasim Ibn Ali Khan, didn't appear out of nowhere. Over 5 years ago, Texas had the chance to stop this, to stop him. But your legislators surrendered. They refused to act. And here we are today. 3 bills were introduced to block foreign law, especially Sharia law, from ever overriding Texans' rights. They would have shielded Texans from Sharia intruding into marriage and divorce, custody battles, business contracts, and other civil and family law matters. But none of them became law. Not one. Why? Because the very same imam you just saw leading Sharia patrols, F. Qasim Ibn Ali Khan, leader of Houston's Masjid at-Tawhid, testified against them. In 2015, Khan stood before your lawmakers in the Texas House and opposed these bills that would have protected Texans from Sharia. He told your representatives that Sharia wasn't a threat to America or Texas. He claimed it was the very thing that made him, quote, respectful, protective, a good citizen, a great American. Let's look back at the imam's testimony.
My name is Qasim Ibn Ali Khan. I represent myself as well as Masjid Tawhid in Houston. I am here against House Bill number 562, 670.
And have you also against HJR 32?
Yes,
okay.
Against.
Okay, thank you.
I was born and raised in the United States. I accepted a religion, Islam, and the laws that govern that religion is called Sharia. And it is that Sharia, or that law, that makes me the type of person I am, that I've grown to be.
He told lawmakers Sharia wasn't a threat at all, that it was just his personal morality, that it made him, quote, respectful, protective, a good citizen. He called Sharia domestic, not foreign. He pointed to In God We Trust on our money, Bibles in courtrooms, oaths of office. He reframed the debate, not about law, but about tolerance. And lawmakers caved. They backed down. Texas passed up its last serious chance to defend its courts. And why did they cave? Because our lawmakers didn't understand Islam or Sharia. They fell.
Now, from what I understand, this 8 hours ago from Salty Goat, Texas has actually banned Sharia law.
11.
The ban on Sharia law in Texas is now strengthened.
The ceremonial signing met with cheers in McKinney. Governor Abbott, flanked by lawmakers who pushed through HB 4211 in response, they say, to Epic City, a Muslim-centric community planned on the edge of Collin County, accused of housing discrimination.
This law prevents them from creating no-go zones. It prevents them from selling or renting land only to people who follow Islam.
Collin County State Rep Candy Noble co-authored the bill, citing Epic City's own words.
They said, we will limit sales to only persons we believe will contribute to the overall makeup of our community.
All lies, argues Epic City's attorney.
To be resolved by Texas law and Texas courts, not Sharia law.
So Texas finally growing a spine, and now we're seeing similar action in Congress. Here's more. Chicago One Ray posted this 18 hours ago. Randy Fine introduced the No Sharia Act. He says, I'm calling on Congress to go one step further and pass a law that only American-born citizens can hold public office. These people are not coming here to assimilate. They want Sharia law.
In a way, where Britain is Darul Harb, because they are, anathema to God's law. They're not implementing it. They're violating His sanctity, and therefore, this is war against Allah and His Messenger. We are obliged as Muslims to take the authority away from the people who have it and implement the Sharia. Now, I hope that can come in a very peaceful way. I hope that we can do that in a way, where there's no bloodshed. The Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if the people
did he just threaten bloodshed?
In a very peaceful way. I hope that we can do that in a way, where there's no bloodshed. The Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if the Muslims have authority and they have the ability to remove oppression, they must remove the oppression. So we believe man-made law is oppression, because they are implementing non-Islamic law, violating their own sanctity. So, if we are in a position of power and authority, we are obliged to take that authority, with the minimum force and to implement the Sharia, certainly. So, this will be the case one day in Britain.
And when you talk about jihad, you're not talking about spiritual striving, you're talking about military jihad.
No, I think there are two types of jihad in which people are engaging in today. One is the jihad of the word, and the other is jihad of the sword. So in Britain, we are engaged in the jihad of the word. And, it's as important to remove the ideological foundation and, if you like, the pillars of Western civilization, like democracy and freedom and secularism, and to expose them and to bring back people to worshipping the one true Lord, which is Allah, as much as it is important to remove the physical obstacles, which is the non-Islamic regime. Britain is Darul Harb, because they are, anathema to God's law. They're not implementing it.
Now, I want to just be very clear. In the United States, now this video is from Britain. In the United States, we have freedom of religion. We are able to practice our faith however we see fit. Okay? That doesn't mean, so in this case, if they want to practice Sharia law, they can certainly do so within their religious communities, but they cannot enforce that on the American people. Okay, they're free to practice that in their religious community. That's what the Constitution allows for. And if they want to do that, go for it. But patrolling streets and threatening people or threatening businesses that goes against our right in the United States. Are you following me here? My goodness. Here's more. This is Wall Street Apes. We must pass Congressman Randy Fine's new bill, the No Sharia Act, to ban Sharia law in America. Many Americans don't know how bad it's already gotten. Muslim community patrols established in New York neighborhoods, dressed like police officers and driving cars identical to them. Holy cow.
Even other they're alarmed after seeing it.
See, that is wrong. Like I said, if they want to go ahead and they want to do it within their own community, but now they're dressing up, what?
Muslim community patrols driving through their neighborhoods in what looked like police squad cars. One America's Pearson Sharp has the details.
New Yorkers say they're shocked after seeing Muslim patrol cars roaming their neighborhoods like police squads. These Muslim community patrols just began operating in Brooklyn this year, with members dressed like police officers and driving cars identical to police squad cars. Even other Muslims have raised questions about the need for the patrols, with residents expressing fears this is just another form of Sharia law enforcement. Area. Others denounce residents for drinking, claiming this is a Muslim area and alcohol is not permitted.
They're alarmed after.
That's crazy. Here is Laura Loomer weighing in.
Introduce the No Sharia. So Randy Fine, who is a congressman from the state of Florida, has recently introduced the No Sharia Act, a bill that would ensure that the U.S. court, public agency, or any other legal institution never enforces or legitimizes Sharia law. And yes, there actually is Sharia law. places like Minnesota, places like Michigan. But now you may have seen this video that has since gone viral in Texas. This video went viral several weeks ago, but I'm going to show you several examples of Sharia law here in America, because some of you are like, wait, what? Sharia law here? And the president himself mentioned Sharia law during his address today at the United Nations General Assembly and said that we can't allow that here in the United States. Let's go ahead and get Representative Randy Fine's legislation up on the screen here for people to see his social media post, and then we'll talk about this legislation. Let's go ahead and get his post up. A couple days ago, he said, I just introduced the No Sharia Act, which would ensure that no U.S. court, public agency, or legal institution can ever enforce or legitimize Sharia law. You don't get to come to this country and demand that our legal system accommodate your oppressive laws. Proud to work with Representative Keith South on this important legislation. So that photo right there, it's a real photo from the video that I'm about to show you from Texas, I believe Houston, Texas, where Muslims were going to businesses, Muslim-owned businesses, threatening the business owners if they did not have more Sharia law enforcement. So they were going around saying that you are not allowed to have alcohol, you are not allowed to sell alcohol, you're not allowed to gamble, you're not allowed to eat pork. And they said that if these Muslim businesses didn't comply, they were going to come back and use force to make them comply. So literally threatening other Muslims who are trying to assimilate with Sharia law. So, you know, yes, there are some Muslims in our country who have made an effort to assimilate. However, there's a lot of Muslims, like these Muslims who are now on video in this video that I'm about to play for you, that refuse to assimilate, and they're trying to turn America into a third world Sharia shithole. So this video is very disturbing. Viewer discretion advised. It's not graphic, but it is disturbing. It's very disturbing to know that so many of these Muslims live among us, and they are actively trying to push Sharia law in America. So let's go ahead and play the clip.
This is the beginning of the campaign. We're serving notice to America and the world that it's time. Enough is enough. The Muslims, the people who call themselves Muslims, should not be selling haram in their stores. The pork, alcohol, and the gambling, it needs to stop. And this is a sample of the signs that we'll be using to demonstrate as we launch this demonstration on, is that we are giving dawah. We're giving dawah to the people, and the more dawah that we give, the more people accept Islam. And the more people accept Islam, the less demand there will be for stores just like this that don't have any rules, no limitations of what they sell. So we're going to launch this. Beware, everybody. We're coming after you. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Homan, I remember I told you I was going to come back and see. I was so happy to see Muslim. I'm always glad to see a Muslim, especially one with a beautiful name, Homan. It's upon a believer. What I want the information that I have for you is that this is the United States of America, and here the law protects people no matter what they want to do honestly. Okay. However, as Muslims, we have an obligation to uphold the deen of Islam and do everything correctly according to the deen. And we don't get desperate to try to do anything haram, right? Okay, this store that you manage here, and by you being Muslim, it has haram products here. It has pork, alcohol, and gambling, which is against Islam, okay? Now, I don't have a right to stop you, but I just want to let you know that as a Muslim, I'm obligated to teach the people in the neighborhood correctly, because we give a lot of dawah. And many people around here are attracted to Islam. So what we're doing is I'm letting you know that unless whoever the owner is, I know you're only the manager, but towards the end of this month, we're kicking off a national protesting and demonstration campaign against all Muslim businesses that have haram in their stores. The pork, alcohol, and gambling. Okay, that'll that gives them at least to the end of this month to change their inventory or either move to a different neighborhood. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, we're here now at Jack's Foods.
Change their inventory or move to a different neighborhood. Wow. So we need to support this bill. Like I said, in those communities, they are free to practice their faith however they see fit, but putting pressure on people to follow their religion is unacceptable. At least Texas now passing a law. President Trump warning at the United Nations, and now Randy Fine introducing the No Sharia Act. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is about sovereignty, pure and simple. When religious patrols mimic law enforcement and conduct door-to-door compliance checks, we've crossed a red line. The Constitution is supreme. No foreign legal system gets to carve out enclaves on American soil. Look at London under Sadiq Khan. President Trump called it out at the UN. The no-go zones started exactly like this: tolerance, then accommodation, then parallel systems, then chaos. Randy Fine and Keith Self are drawing the line before it's too late. So every American needs to understand this isn't about religion, it's about law. One system governs America, ours. So here's my question. Should states have the power to ban all foreign law enforcement, not just Sharia? Drop a yes or no in the comments. And while you're defending American sovereignty, show it. Grab some patriotic gear from the next news shop. It's linked down below. Wow. How wild is that? No, there was enough. Okay, we got 2 super chats today. What are you guys saying? Absolutely, hell yeah. We're Americans, not Muslims, but go into someone's store and tell them what to sell. This is wrong. That guy's an ex-con who converted in prison. He's a thug. They have the nerve coming to our soil and try to tell us what to do. I don't think so. Yes, they need to stop it. So, folks, what a day, what a show, and what a moment in American history that we are living through. We started with James Comey staring down the barrel of federal indictment, the architect of the Russia hoax, the man who weaponized the FBI against President Trump, finally facing justice. But it's bigger than one corrupt official. It's about whether the rule of law still means anything in America. When MSNBC openly calls for DOJ employees to revolt against lawful indictments, you know the deep state is panicking. They know if Comey falls, the whole house of cards is going to come tumbling down. Then we expose how Democrat hate speech has graduated to deadly violence. The Dallas ICE shooter didn't just snap. He spent 2 days studying the Charlie Kirk assassination video before launching his copycat attack. When party leaders compare ICE to Nazis, when they paint targets on law enforcement backs, unstable individuals take it as a permission to kill. The blood trail leads straight back to their rhetoric. And then we revealed the Socialist infiltration plan that should terrify every American. They call it salting, taking jobs specifically to sabotage from within. Amazon, Starbucks, airlines, schools, all targeted for disruption. And when they're asking, at what point do we arm up at their conferences, we've moved beyond activism into insurrection territory. May Day 2028 isn't just a date on their calendar, it's a deadline for chaos. And finally, we covered the No Sharia Act dropping in Congress like a bomb. After Houston imams were caught conducting door-to-door compliance checks, after Muslim patrols mimic law enforcement in New York, Representatives Fine and Self said enough. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, period. No parallel systems, no foreign law enforcement, no carving out enclaves where American law doesn't apply. Thank you to everyone who sent in super chats and rumble rants tonight. Your support keeps our work alive. R. Boyd dropping $5. Alcohol, gambling, and pork. That's America, baby. Get with it. So special shout out to Aaron, JRG, and R. Boyd for your generous contributions. You guys make the show possible. So tell a friend about the Raw feed. Text in the link right now. Share the stream on every platform. The mainstream media won't cover these stories. They can't afford to, but that's why we exist. And that's why you're here. And hey, show the world where you stand. Hit up our merch shop, shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Rock some of our gear and let everyone know you get your news from people who actually tell the truth. This is Gary Franchi reminding you that the revolution will not be televised, but it will be live streamed right here on the Raw feed. We'll see you next time. Stay vigilant, stay prepared, and stay free, America.